so we've got the Frontier consoles. Okay, we've got a big mix of various screens and displays and so on and so forth. Okay, so first of all, we'll just tackle these chairs here. I'm going to pop out one of these chairs just as an example. And you would have seen this on the floor video anyway, floor tiles video anyway. But yeah, as you can see here, we've just got a simple grab the top part of the seat and pop that in like that. And then we've got this bit that goes underneath there. Sometimes these need adjustments. This one absolutely doesn't, which is really cool. So there you go. And you've all got another orange one there and a blue one. So that's the chair, nice and simple. Let's handle the console. Okay, and what you get is you get the two little leg parts, the main console and the screen. And I'm going to check this for slot adjustments. I think we're probably okay. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the legs, this kind of little horsey kind of shape, sort of goes under the horse's chin as it were. Okay, so that is going to slot into one side like that, and then exactly the same on the other side, or the other top piece, and you get this cool little console which all by itself is completely fine. Now this next bit, the slots on this next bit, the configuration is done slightly differently. You don't need to push this all the way home. Basically, you've just got two areas where the slots kind of just come together. So they kind of sort of kissing each other really. And you can push it down a little bit, but it doesn't have to go all the way home. And you get this really nice little console. That goes together beautifully. I absolutely love these consoles. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3 of those on the sheet. So that's just one of them, and every one has got a different texture, which is really cool as well. Okay, only 2 items left on here. We've got is and that's these big displays here. So I'm going to pop one of these out. Okay, now with these, basically what's going to happen is this is going to slot into here. But before we do that, we're going to make a curve on here. We've got some half cuts on the back, but with these half cuts, you just want to bend it very, very slightly on each one, okay? Because what we don't want to do is, we don't want a great big thick crease on the display side, but we do want a nice curve. So I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a curve through there, a little bit of a curve there, a little bit of a curve there. Just a very gentle curve, like so. There you go. And now I've got this lovely smooth kind of gentle curve. I'm then going to take this. That slot might need adjustment, but I kind of like a tight fit on this because there's no slot here. So I'm going to pop that on there, and I'm going to posh. I'm going to posh. I'm not going to posh anything, but I am going to push that into there. Okay, oops, I bent that. Okay, so there you go. I'm going to push that onto there, and what you end up with is you end up with this really nice display screen, just like that. Okay, you see that? And it's got some lovely textures on the back as well, so it looks good from any angle. It has got a little bit of a, what would you call that? A bobbly bit. Okay, so it does mean that you can, you know, have that kind of go into a wall. So it does kind of fix to a wall if you want it to there, or some of these smaller parts, which is really kind of cool. So it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be stuck out, but they can freestand as well. And then finally, you've got this little kind of data pad bit that kind of, if the controls, if you like, and that slots on there. Sometimes they're a bit loose. That one's really nice and tight, actually. So, but again, this is not reversible, so a dab of glue would sort that out if anything's particularly loose. So there's your display screen. Okay, so the last thing we've got on here then, oh no, there's 2 things. You've got these. These are kind of like the little, they kind of go on here, and then you can put the screen on here as well. Actually, that is, again, this is not a reversible item. That is a loose one. I had a very tight one yesterday, so let me give a perfect example to give you a demo of how that might work. So all I really need to do is just pop a little bit like that on there. If you wanted to be super, you know, super thorough, would that be? And then you can just go like that, pop that in there like that. Okay, and there you have it, and that becomes your little control panel, which is really good. You know, you've got... Okay, so that works really, really well. So yes, finally we've got the battle table. Okay, so the idea of these little pieces here is you don't need them, but they are really cool because what they can do, they can add kind of a, if you like, a 3D effect to your table. So you can build up these edges here like that and like that. And when you put these on, you want to make sure that the stamp side, when you stamp, okay, you can, I don't know how clear this is on the camera, but you can see a very, very clear ridge there. Whereas if I turn that over, it's very, very smooth. So this is the stamp side, the side the blades go in. And it gives the card a kind of a roundness where the blade's gone in. And if you make sure the stamp side is facing up, it kind of rounds down to your card, which is really cool when you stick these on. And it makes it that much more seamless. So what you're going to do, of course this is an option, is you can basically place these on here and you can glue them in place, okay, which gives you that really cool kind of 3D effect. Well, it is 3D. And then when you've done that, you can then on the other side, again having stamp side, by the time, you know, stamp side facing down, I guess, you can put some underneath as well, which we didn't, I don't think we did on the Kickstarter, but it doesn't matter because it just looks really, really cool. So you got like that, and you'd have one over there, and so on and so forth. So here you can see one I've done earlier, and I've actually attached them on the top, and I've attached them on the bottom as well. Really nice texture there at the bottom as well, and that just gives that kind of, if you compare that to non-doing, and I've penned the edges as well. If you compare that to kind of not doing it like that, okay, it does add a really nice kind of 3D effect. But of course, just for gluing it on, you know, it's very, very simple. All you do is you just take a little bit of glue, there you go. So you make sure that the edges are nice and flush, and then that gives you that nice 3D effect. Okay, I won't do all of that now. I'll show you the base. So for the base, you have got various half cuts, and then a small area here, male and female ear area, just so that you can drop a bit of glue in there and get a nice, okay, now these are much heavier half cuts, okay, and what you want to do is you want to create, you can create any shape you want really, but you really want to create this kind of shape here, your rectangle if you like, and it will connect at one end. It does actually stay together if you're very careful, okay, and that gives you, you know, a shape that you can just sort of pop that on if you like. What we've done to make it more sci-fi is just to open it up again and give that kind of sort of octagonal type of shape to it, and that's the one we prefer. And if you look really carefully on the bottom of your design, you'll see a very, very thin blue line round there, which kind of gives you the shape of that as well that you can follow. So what I would do is then just pop a little bit of glue in here, and then you get basically your table, the one I've done earlier, and you rest it on the top. Now you've got two choices here. You can either have it like that, and that sits in your game really, really well, and everything's fantastic, and it gives you the option to do that, to turn it over, you know, which is great because it looks like a really cool sort of work table or something anyway. So that's your choice, however you want to do it. If you want to have it static, or you've got loads of these and, you know, you can do half and half or whatever, then all you need to do is drop some glue on the top, and that holds in place. Personally, I like it separate. Of course, having it glued in does hold this in place as well a bit better, so I guess that's one advantage. But yeah, there you go, that's the battle table, which is really, again, really, really cool. And that brings us to the end of the Frontier consoles. Okay, so we've got the Galactic consoles here. in many ways, this is vastly different from the Frontier consoles, but in others, it's very similar. So I'm not going to build the battle table, because the battle table is exactly the same. And I'm not going to assemble these chairs because it's exactly the same. So if you want to see the battle table and the chairs, go to the Frontier consoles and you'll see those being put together, no problem at all. So that just leaves the different parts. Okay. Oh, also this little control panel and arm, that is the same as well. Okay, so that only leaves two parts left. Okay, so yeah, you've got a little bend in there, and that looks really cool. Then looking at the top here, there's a slot here. I might need to just adjust that very slightly. It's actually wide at the top, but a bit thin at the bottom. So I'm just gonna pop a tiny bit in there, like so. And then we slot that in the top. We slot that in the top first, like so. There we go, that's really cool. Oh, put it on the wrong side. Let me just come around this side. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to slot that in the top there first, like so. And then afterwards there's a little piece here that you can pop in, and that holds it in place. Okay, again, this is non-reversible, so you can basically glue that on if you want to do that. That's completely fine. And that will attach to a wall, running out of space here. Okay, and it's got this little lug underneath that helps secure it at the bottom as well. So this will go in at the top, and then you can pop the little lug in the bottom, and that gives it a really straight on the wall, flat panel kind of effect, which is really, really cool. So yeah, there you go. There's a simple kind of display console there. Then you've got this one. Now these look really cool because they've got this really nice arced back to them, and they do assemble without any glue, but I like to put a little bit of glue at the top just to hold it in place. But okay, so I'm gonna bend through these half cuts like so, leaving a nice little curve. But two of the half cuts are going to need a serious bend, so you've got one right at the bottom here, and you're going to have to put the pressure on that to keep it all together. And I will bend that right back like that. Lift it back again, tiny bit. And then the same here at this top one, I'm going to bend that right back. Okay, putting pressure on here so we don't get any delamination or anything like that. I'm going to bend that right into there. Okay, and I've still got that nice gentle curve at the back. Okay, now here's the thing. There you go. That is your console, and it works perfectly fine. It is really, really cool, just as it is. And it's just held under that tension, okay? And you can adjust it a bit up and down and so on and so forth, okay? Now I can slide that in, like so. And I can put that underneath, and that gives me a little bit of downward support if I want it, okay? And that's good, that kind of stays there. Little bit of movement, okay? And so if you want that to be really tight underneath here, you can very simply just run a small piece of glue, because again, this is non-reversible item, so I run a little bit of glue at the back and a little at the top of there. And then making sure that I keep it as central as possible, I just do that. And then you've got an absolutely solid console, okay? There you go. I need to wait for that a bit longer, but basically you get the idea. Now you've got something absolutely solid, okay? So, and those are really cool little consoles. So yeah, for the Galactic consoles, everything else is mostly the same as the Frontier, but you've got these two really cool, unique items on there as well. So there you go. That is the Galactic consoles.